Hello and welcome to Economy Planner, the economic simulator. Today I'm going to show you how to play the game and also what the game looks like after you've been playing for a few days. So I'm going to first of all load a game that I've been playing for a few days now and show you what it looks like. So right now, this region, this map has a population of 291. And at the bottom you can see a graph of what's called the total personal satiety, which is basically how full the workers feel. So basically the workers I use a simple mechanic for population growth. Basically, if the workers have an abundance of food and they have twice as much as is needed for a single person, then they multiply into 2 people. So what you see at the bottom is basically a indicator of the population, a graph of the population through the history of since I've started playing this game for this saved game. And as you can see, it's been steady for about 75%. It's been steady at about like 50 workers until at a certain point I reached a population of 300. And then there was a gradual decline, and now I'm starting to have a population increase. And this game I've been playing since I've been debugging it, so it's not really kind of graph you would expect from a normal game that a player might play. With the normal experienced player, you can probably expect like a gradual increase in the population and some minor bumps along the way. But of course, I don't think many people are going to be pros at this game very fast. You have to learn how to balance the prices and get an understanding for how the economics engine works. But hopefully through this video you'll get some idea of that. So what you see in this video, I've set it up so that there'll be population growth at this point in time. I've balanced wages and prices such that there's going to be a boom in population at the expense of my budget. Right now my budget is at 9.3 million, and it's going to be going up and down, but the general trend is going to be down. Yes, it's going to be down, and sooner or later I'm going to have to reset change the prices and wages such that the non-essential food production mechanism is operating, so everything except the production of food is operating. Basically, in this game you have to go back and forth between the different production chains. There's the food production chain. Basically it's all tied together, but there's things that are more essential for food production, like farms and stores, and you do need chemicals like fertilizers and production from factories for the stores to work. But right now I have a overabundance of those resources stockpiled, so I can focus on just the stores operating, and then I have an abundance of farm products, so I've basically turned off all of the non-essential buildings. I've set their production targets to, well, except this one over here, but if we go over this one, actually no. No, well anyways, maybe that's in another saved game, but I turned off all the farms in another save game, and in this save game you'll see that this mine is turned off and this factory over here is turned off. They have a production target level set to 0% so that they're not taking away any of the labor energy that's provided by the workers. And sooner or later, these buildings, like you can see, this factory has 7,809 production, which is used by the stores. Sooner or later, it's going to run out, and I'm going to have to turn them back on. And it's going to be a period of maybe a little bit of population decline, or maybe, well, it depends if there's a shortage of food, or probably there won't be a shortage of food, but probably as I'm trying to save money, I'm going to set the food prices higher, and the workers less are going to be able to afford the food, and some of them are going to basically starve, so I can get that money back. Right now my money is at 8 million, right now 7.6 million, and it's going down, so I'm going to have to increase the food prices sooner or later. So I'm going to save this game right now, just for my personal uses later, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when we start from the beginning. So I'm going to go to, first of all I'm going to show you what the options look like. You can see options over here. We can change it between window and full screen mode and choose the resolution, and that's basically all the options you will need for now. I think you don't need any more options. Anyways, so I'm going to go to new game, and it's going to generate the forest, and the map is, the rest of the terrain is pretty much standard. And I'm going to press pause, and as you see, there's this giant forest over here, and I think it's kind of interesting how it generates the forest. You can see all these paths in between, and it'll be interesting for an RTS, I think, but maybe in the future, what the heck? Maybe in the future I'll work on an RTS. This is basically, this is kind of is an RTS because it's a real-time strategy, but it's not a real-time strategy in the sense that you usually have like military units and destroy buildings, but it's closer to an RTS, I think, than SimCity, because you make individual buildings and you actually have resources that you use, and you have individual units that behave and move around in the world, as opposed to like a statistical model with a graphical representation that doesn't really correspond to what's going on. So I think this is kind of in between a city builder and a real-time strategy game. So anyways, I paused the game because if you zoom in on the workers, you'll see that they have 298 food, and if we click play, you'll see that it decreases by 1 each second. So they have about 300 seconds worth of food reserves which is why we have to start building to make sure before they starve, to make sure they don't starve. So I'm going to build a road over here, and I'm going to set the wage to 9,000, which I found to be a pretty good starting wage for most of the jobs. And as we build over here, the trees will be cleared and the forest will be forest will be chopped down. Right now they can't move through the forest, so that offers a barrier. Originally I was thinking of having military units and fighting, but I decided that would be a little bit too much for what I was trying to accomplish with this project. So basically it's more of a city builder right now. Anyways, so I'm going to lay the foundation for the city by building a road grid, and once I do that, I'll lay down a full set of all the buildings that are in this game. And in real life you would probably have a giant refinery, one in each city, and you'll have many oil wells, small oil wells, but in this game the buildings produce more than they take in, so you would be enough to produce one of each building to get started. And looks like, oh yeah, I can build it here. So once I finish this grid, I'm gonna lay down some buildings. I'm gonna place an apartment over here in the middle. Apartments generate housing, which is needed by the workers to regenerate their labor power. The workers have 10 labor power at any given time, which they use on jobs which they receive money for. And they also need retail food from stores, and they need it to survive. They need to consume it at a certain rate. As I've said, they have like around 300 right now, and the stores need farm products from a farm. In real life you would have a food processing and packaging plant that takes in farm products, and before they're packaged to go out to the stores, you would probably have lots of farms and lots of farmland and only a few farm processing and packaging plants and lots of stores all over the city. But this is simplification. So we also need a power plant over here, and a factory. Factory is kind of like a food processing and packaging plant. It's generalized production that it produces, so that's needed for the manufacture of trucks and needed for the consumer goods and food products at the stores. And I'm gonna also need a mine. The mine brings up coal and iron ore and uranium for nuclear power plants. And we're gonna need a smelter to turn the iron ore into steel, which is needed by the factories. As you see, most of the buildings require labor, stone, and cement for the construction. As you can see over here, the stone, I have 1 stone out of 1, which means it requires 1, and it's 1 has been invested. The way that it works is resources are actually localized in the game, so they must be transported by truck, but in the beginning you have no way of getting them there, so you start with a set of global resources. In the real-time strategy game, all of the resources are global, and in SimCity you have externalities, which means that you make a connection to at the end of your map to another city, and all the population and everything else comes in from that point. And anyways, I'm gonna need power lines to connect everything to the power grid, so I'm gonna place them in between all the buildings. As you can see, if you zoom in, it tells you what the buildings don't have. Right now it shows the road symbol with an X on it, so because the roads haven't been constructed yet, it shows that they don't have road access yet. So I'm just gonna play it for a little bit since I have enough work for them. And I'm gonna pause, and as you can see, the apartment building has been finished, so I'm gonna set the price of housing or rent to 1,000. And right now it shows housing as 15 out of 15 because none of the workers have taken up residence there. So let's see, I'm gonna set it to play and see what else do I need. I'm gonna build a refinery over here. And an oil well. Like power lines, the oil wells and oil refineries need crude oil pipelines. Basically, the roads and the power lines and the crude oil pipelines are called conduits, which is the general term applied to the infrastructure in the economics engine of this game. And I'm gonna need a chemical plant for the farms and for the treatment of the iron ore in the smelter. As soon as the building is finished, I have to set its wage and its price. Right now the prices are internal, so it doesn't really matter because I buy all the stuff that I produce except for the food and the housing. So it doesn't really matter what I set the prices for most of these. In the future, there's going to be, in the future version of the game, there might be artificial intelligence and other players in multiplayer. Anyways, as you can see, it shows that this factory isn't getting electricity because I forgot to connect it to the power grid. I find that 600 is a good starting price for the food, and increasing or decreasing by 100 generally as the need arises. Sometimes the economy is doing well and I might decide that I need population growth and I might decrease the price of food. So I'm going to save this. And as soon as we have some production at the factory, I'm going to build some trucks which we need to transport all the physical resources between the buildings along the roads. And I can quick save to that save file that I selected. Also, we're gonna need a cement plant and a quarry once I run out of the global supply of the resources. And an electronics plant for producing units at the factory. If you zoom in, you can see what the workers are doing right now. And all of these workers say to job cement construction, cement plant construction. And I built some trucks over here. So basically I didn't need any production to be produced at the factory. I guess I have a supply of some production. Global supply. So I've built 6 trucks to get started. And as you can see, the workers are moving towards the trucks because all the trucks now have jobs assigned to them. This one's going to the factory. This one's going to the farm. And the trucks get jobs assigned to them similar to how the workers get jobs assigned to them, based on 2 factors, which is distance and price. Whereas the workers look for goods at the cheapest price and the shortest distance, the trucks are assigned to jobs where, based on how much it's going to cost to transport, based on the distance from the truck to the supplier to the demander, and based on the cost of the fee that's been set for the transportation of the truck. So it should be a win-win situation for all, basically. And for some reason we're not moving forward, so I'm gonna see what's causing the blockage. Let's see, the store is getting farm product and production, and I see that the farm doesn't have any electricity. So I'm gonna set that. And I'm gonna set up a second power plant over here so that we have a nuclear power plant in addition to a coal power plant. Oh, looks like I wasn't fast enough and I've run out of workers, so I'm gonna try that over again. Actually, you know what? I think I will load the game that I saved. Never mind. I guess I saved too late, so I'm gonna restart that, and I guess that's what's to be expected. You have to restart a few times before you get a hang of the game. So I'm gonna set everything up before I press play. I'm gonna start off with a T shape for the road grid. So first time around I wasn't fast enough. I was setting up the wages and the prices as the workers were building wood, but I should set everything up to be ready to go before I press play so that the workers don't waste any time, because they spent a lot of time idle, just standing around not doing anything while their food was running down. And that's why we have the save feature, of course. Whenever we make mistakes, we just go back to the last save point and try something else. But we need to make sure to save at save points, not to do it when it's already too late. And I'm going to save. It automatically assigns a name to the save file based on the date and time. So if we open up the load game menu and we scroll down to the last one, it will be the last one that we saved, because they're in alphabetical order. And let's see, I'm gonna need, I think I have everything now. I just need the conduits. I save and I press play. Oh wait, I also need to set the construction weight. Oh no, I did that. So there's a slight delay before the workers start working, because they check for new jobs in intervals of a few milliseconds. So about 0.2 seconds go by before they look for a new job. I think it might be 1 second, might be 200 milliseconds, I'm not sure. And as soon as the workers have built something, I'm gonna pause and set the prices and wages. And order some trucks from the very start and set the driver wages. And new save file. As you can see, the store has already produced something, but as shown by the green bar. There's 3 bars on each building. The top bar represents the health or the hit points. The second, the green bar, represents how much of its production target it's met. And the third one is a countdown timer for the economic cycle of the building. I'm gonna produce some more trucks. And it looks like the workers aren't doing anything over here, so I'm gonna increase the wage a little bit. As you can see, we've just had a little bit of growth as the total personal satiety counter has increased. I'm going to set the wage for this road construction to 11,000. As I mentioned, workers look for the jobs that pay the highest and are the shortest distance, and that's based on a utility function where workers evaluate the utility of each job and pick the one with the highest one at any given point, at any given time. And we can debate about what would be the most accurate description of the utility function, but I've chosen a multiplicative relation for the price and the distance, so it's some number divided by the price divided by the distance. If we could represent the distance in terms of money, we might subtract both of those, the price and the distance represented in terms of money. Lots of interesting derivations that you can make from that. And things seem to be going well, so I'm going to save to a new save file. And I'm going to expand the roads. So it looks like everything's going... Oh, we've just had a decrease in the total personal satiety. So I'm going to check. We have food being produced. We have a supply of 9,000. So I guess they're not being paid enough to afford the food, so I'm gonna increase the driver wage to 12,000, which gives more priority to the driving jobs. And also, since there's usually always going to be driving jobs, and the trucks are going to be distributed approximately evenly around the map, that's going to be like a general supply of money for the workers. As opposed to any single building. We have to make sure that there's multiple paths to any one building. If there's a blockage, also it allows you to have a short path no matter where you are on the map. Sometimes you might need to get around from here to there, and it's just better to have multiple paths anyways. And something is wrong because the total personal satiety is still decreasing even though the workers have a lot of money. So we're gonna set the food lower. And save. And I'm gonna fast forward just to see if this is going to end well or bad. Usually I can get a frame rate of like 200, simulation frame rate of 200, but since I'm recording I can only get about 25. Oh, here's the problem I've forgot to set. So it's a good thing I've saved. So I'm gonna go back to the last saved game and set the wage for the farm to 9,000 and save to a new save file. And the wage, I forgot to set wages for a bunch of buildings. And I'm going to fast forward. So we've had an increase in the total personal satiety, so that means things are going well. And the population has increased to 11 now. So we have one more new member to our city. So I'm going to take a short break, and when I'm back we're going to increase our population to 100 or more. So I'll be right back. And we're back to our game. So now we're going to increase our population to 100 or more. Hopefully with as few breaks in between as possible, because I might have to turn off the recording so that it's able to speed up to hundreds of frames, simulation frames per second. But anyways, so we're going to load the game. We're going to expand the city borders and build a few more stores. If you look over here, when you hover over the store, you can see that each store requires 1,600 farm products and produces 3,600 retail food, and each farm produces 1,900 farm products. So we're gonna have a abundance of farm products if we have one farm for each store. So I'm gonna build more stores than there are farms. And we're gonna need each apartment supports 15 workers. So if we want to increase our population to 100, we're gonna need about, let's see, 230. We want about 9 or 6. That's about right. So I'm gonna build 7. So let's see, 15, that's 30. 2 for 30. We need 3 times that. So it's gonna be about 6 or 7. And I've never done it this way before. I've always expanded the city uniformly by adding each kind of building steadily, but right now I've built a bunch of stores and I'm building a bunch of houses. So the problem is I might not have enough jobs for the workers. But hopefully there's going to be enough transportation between the buildings and enough work at the farms to have enough money flowing to the workers so that they can afford to buy all the food and etc. I'm going to build one more coal power plant just to be sure I have enough power. And I don't have enough production right now to produce any more trucks, so I'm gonna have to get metal and gonna have to wait until I have enough production to produce more trucks. So I'm gonna save here. And I'm going to speed up. And this factory should have some production in a little bit. Not yet. I guess it's being used up by all of the stores, so I'm gonna place another factory. Actually, we're having a little bit of a crisis because there's no food at the store, so we're gonna set everything back to 0 until we produce enough food. I think we might have to reload from the last save point actually. It's a good thing I've saved several times. So this time we're going to make sure that we have an abundance of food before we expand the city. So right now we have 5,800 food. And I'm going to let this go for a little while. Population is 17 right now. I'm going to set the wages for the cement plant and stone quarry a little bit lower because they're not essential anymore. And then your save file. I'm gonna set, because right now the farm is probably the most essential part, because right now it doesn't have any food produced, and all the other buildings in the food production chain have all the resources necessary except for the farm products which are missing. So I'm going to set the wage to 11,000 and fast forward. And still it hasn't produced the food, so it needs the chemicals. So I see that was probably what was missing before. So I said the chemicals to, actually I'm going to rewind back to the last save point. And set the chemical plant wage to 9,000. And save. And fast forward. Great, so now everything is working. Population is 19, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 31, and I'm going to save there. And that is, growth is right now being powered by generous wages, because right now my budget is probably decreasing. Right now I have 35 million from a starting point of 40 million, so that means $5 million is in circulation. And I'm gonna build some more housing because they definitely need it right now. And save. So the reason I say generous is because this can't continue indefinitely. Maybe if I left it running for a few hours, I would probably run out of money and none of the jobs could be paid for and the economy would collapse and all the workers would die off. So eventually we would need to balance the wages so that we don't pay so much. Population is 39 right now, 40, 41, and we have 3 apartments, so we can afford a population of 45. So we're getting close to our target of 100 workers. We just can't provide that much food probably, because each store produces 3,600 food per minute, which is the maximum that it can produce at. So since each worker consumes 60 food per minute, it's going to be enough for 60 workers. So we need another store over here. And another farm. It's better to save to new save files a bit more often rather than saving to the same save file, because you never know when you might want to back up 2 or 3 save points behind. this is not right because this store is a lot farther away from all of the housing, so it should have a lower price for the food. So I'm going to set a higher price for the food in the place that is more populated. And I'm going to build one more apartment. And I'm going to need some more trucks probably. Right now the population is at 42. And it declined and increased. Actually it declined twice. So right now we've noticed that there's been some evictions and some starvation, so that probably means that we're reaching our limit. So I'm gonna decrease the price of food back down to 400, and our budget has increased to 36 million, so that means we're probably setting the prices too high. Population is now increased to 44, and the budget has gone back up to 36 million. So I'm gonna set the price of food for this new store to 300, and I'm gonna build another power plant over here because I don't think we're getting enough power. Our budget right now is at 34 million, so it's slowly going down. Population has reached 52 right now, so that means we're steadily heading towards our goal. And we're going to need some more housing over here. Population has increased to 60, and budget is at 31 million. Budget is at going down to 30 million. Back to 32 million. Population is now at 85. And we only have 5 houses, so we definitely need to get this one up quickly. $89 per population. I'm not sure why this building isn't getting built, but I've noticed this before. Maybe it's a bug. So I'm gonna place another building beside it, check if that is being built. No, it's not a bug. So it's gotten built, so now we have enough housing to support a population of 100. Population is at 92 right now. $94, $95, $96, $97. $98, $99, and we now have a population of 100. So we've reached our goal, and hopefully you've gotten an idea of how to play the game and how to manage an economy. So that's it for now, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Until later, bye.